Welcome back, everyone. And today's 12 minutes, the very first 12-minute classroom, will feature the AutoCAD interface, how we navigate and move around on it, and then some key entities that we will be normally using when we're drawing inside of AutoCAD. I have here a 12-minute timer, which will start once we enter the classroom. So let's go to the classroom first before I start it, because every second counts. So here we are in the classroom. Timer is on the ready. And so let's go. So first, I would like to introduce to you the interface and some of the sections within this. So this is the title of the program, and then there's some commands here. This is generally called the toolbar, but it has since extended into this little part here with where we can see home, insert, annotate, which is now called the ribbon, which has been popularized by Microsoft Office when they launched it. Now everybody's using it. So basically, here we have um, all the tools that you can use within AutoCAD. They're hidden inside of here in drop downs or otherwise in plain sight. That's how you uh, create within this program. And then we have the model space. This is the one with the grid right here that you can see. This grid is actually, if you want to visualize it, it's a really expansive piece of paper. So it's a piece of paper that doesn't end. Okay, theoretically, I mean, the program doesn't have limits as to how far it goes, basically. But we normally won't get there anyway. Um, and then we have another important part of the interface is the command window right here. Now it's floating like this, but you can dock this if you want. There's a setting here, which if you click this wrench icon here, there's a setting here where you can dock this if you want, and it will actually save you some valuable memory if you wanted to do that. But for now, we'll keep it like this because this is how uh, CAD on your side will look like. So we type things in here. How I tell my students about this before is it's like Jarvis from Iron Man. It's an assistant in a way. It talks to you, and then I mean you tell it what to do. See, it's right now it's waiting for us to say something. It says type command. And then when you type a command and execute the command, it will uh, ask you another question if the command requires an input from you. Okay, we'll move into that soon. And then there is the status bar. Before, it was positioned at the bottom here, all throughout the program, but now I think they removed it because no one really looks at it. They integrated it into the model space. So, okay. To begin with, how you move about in this space, you need to have a mouse like this one that has a middle mouse button because it's very important for CAD. Why that is mostly how you move about is using the middle mouse button. So first, you have the normal scrolling functions. When you scroll up, it zooms in. When you scroll down, it zooms out. You can see here, this is the origin where the green and red uh, originate from. So that's 0, 0 right there. So this is basically the start of the entire paper, the middle of it. So again, when you scroll up, it zooms in, see the grid becomes bigger, and then you scroll down, it zooms out. The grid becomes smaller. And when you hold down the middle mouse button, it becomes a pan command that is instantly activated. So you can move the paper, you can shift it from left to right, up or down, whatever you need to do. Okay, so now with that, you should be, try it out. It's very satisfying to see it move like this. But anyway, we'll move on to the entities now because we already know how to move about the space. So the very first entity is the line, which is basically everywhere. Lines are everywhere. So remember I told you before that AutoCAD is ran and is supposed to be performed in English. So just basically think of whatever you want to create and then type it in. So that's why the keyboard is also very important in CAD. It's always waiting for inputs from the keyboard. So, for example, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. The keyboard, when you type something on the keyboard, it shows up in the command. So, like, you want to create a line, so you can type line and then press enter. So now our assistant is asking us, where do you want the first point to lie? So you left mouse button on that anywhere, and then it's asking us if there's a next point or do we want to undo. So we end it with a next point, and then if we want to end it there, we could just exit the command or press enter again. Pressing enter or escape in AutoCAD almost function the same. I think they actually kind of do. Anyway, we can press escape and then release the command. That's how it's a better way of thinking about it. You release a command because when you engage it, you need to release it in order to command something else. So this is basically how a line is generated. But if you want to be faster, you don't even need to type the entire line word. Just type L and then space bar. And then automatically it identifies that you want to create a line. So this happens for most anything that you can think of. As I will show you in the next few entities that we will be encountering. Just a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Um, so, right, that's the line. And then we're going next to something called a polyline, which is basically almost the same, but fairly different. Polyline, it's a polygonal line, and it is, you can type it in like line before, polyline, then create it. Oh, once more. Right? And then if you want to be faster, you type PL and then space bar, and that commits the command. PL, polyline. See that? So how are these two different? Polylines and then lines. Basically, lines, when you create them, if you can see here, I created this almost M uh, shape here, but when you select it, it gets selected one by one. But a polyline, when you select a created polyline, it's always connected all together. And you can close this. So that's one of the major tips, or one of the tips that you can get from this. Like for example, you want to create a triangle, you go PL and then select the first two lines, and you want to go back to the other line, you say close. You can see here, these are your options when you're creating a polyline. You can do this while you're in the command. The colored blue here in the arc, close, those are the keys that you want to press to continue the command. So if we want to close this, we press C and then space bar, and the polyline gets closed, and we have a triangle over here. All right, so that's the second entity. The third entity is called the multiline, which is basically a, you won't normally use this, but it's fine to understand that there is something like this in the program. Multiline ML basically creates two parallel lines together, and you can identify how far the lines are from one another and how they are drawn, like how they are justified, and then such things. Scale identifies how far the lines are from one another, and then style defines the quality of the line. We'll get into that later. Style is uh, a deeper subject. So when you're creating a multi-line like this, you can see that it very much resembles something like a wall. So that's one of the instances that you might want to use this entity. Next, we have the arc, which is basically a curved line. How we do that is A for arc. And then the method, if we can see here below, you specify the start point and then the second point of arc, or you can say you want the center of the arc or the end of the arc. You identify 3 points for this one. So right now we're identifying the second point and then the end point. So we have there an arc. Alternatively, we can do it the other way around. We specify the start point and then the end point E, and then the center point of the arc. So, and many other choices here. So this is one way of creating a curved line inside of CAD. It's not the only way, as you'll see eventually. Gosh, we don't even get to half of the other entities. So, all right. Next, we have a rectangle, REC for rectangle. We have circle, C for circle. We have the ellipse, EL. Identify 3 points for an ellipse. And then we have polygon, which allows us to create a multi-sided entity. Like, for example, we want a 6-sided polygon. It's asking us for how many sides right now. We say 6, and then we specify the center of it, And then it asks us if it wants to be inscribed or circumscribed. That's within or outside of a circle. We want it for now. Let's just say inscribed. And then there we have it. A six-sided polygon that's even on all the sides. And then we have point, which is basically creating a point in space. There we go. Can you see that? That's a point. That's an infinitesimal uh, item there. But we can change how it looks like so you can see it better by using the command pd mode and then identifying if you want to be mode 2. So there, this is the point that we have now. It's identified by a cross so we can see it better. And finally, we have the hatch command, which is an entity all on its own. It allows us to shade some portions of this. Command is H, and then we identify. So you see that the ribbon changes here, right? We want a solid, and then let's just select the polygon that we created earlier, and then there we go. It gets hatched. Okay, so I suppose that's it. Yep, that's 12 minutes. So we've gone through 11 entities in there. So fast, right? So let's recap. We have the line, the polyline, which is a connected line, the multi-line ML, which is a parallel line that goes together, and then we have the arc A. Oh, did we miss this? The next method of creating a curved line, which is the spline, SPL. It's basically a connected arc, and you need 3 commits at the end to end this command 1, 2, 3. No, actually just 2. And then we have the rectangle, REC, circle C, ellipse, EL, requires 3 points, and then the polygon, which will ask us for how many sides. Like we used 6 earlier, let's use 8 now, and then identify the center, and then let's try circumscribe this time, and then there we go. It's an 8-sided polygon right there. And then we have the point. So this is the second point in this drawing right now. First point and the second point. You can see that when the drawing regenerates itself, it depends on how far you are, the size that the point will take up. So like now if we activate the regenerate command, both the points will be the same size. And then we have the hatch command, which allows us to basically shade. Hatch letter H. Let's try a angled shading pattern right now, and then select our ellipse here. And then there we have it. It's become shaded, and then it has uh, all the other options available to us there on the hatch. So yeah, it's a very quick and dirty way of getting to know entities within CAD. And believe it or not, with these entities, you you are already able to draw practically anything. All right? See you guys next time. Take care.